And this is going to be a much different color. That is crazy bright. Insane bright. So we are gonna little pancakey, dude. I really don't. What's up guys, my name is Chris Thief and you are watching FlyRyde, where you're going to learn more about the parts, techniques, and the business of building custom lights. And now you finally get the video you keep asking about. You guys just want LED strips. If you find this valuable, you learned something, you think you see something that a friend would like to know, share the video around, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to smash that like button if you like it. Thanks guys, enjoy. Now one thing that I've done that I know it's kind of like you're not supposed to, it's breaking the rules, but I've taken LED strips that are just a straight long section and cut them because I looked at the circuit board, it looked like it made sense that if I cut every 3 inches that I could resolder everything together, connect it back to the LED driver, and I can make a shape now because I'm modifying it every 3 inches. So that will void your warranty, so don't do that and then say, hey, it doesn't work anymore, can I have a free thing? Because you're pretty much on your own as soon as you start cutting. But this is what I've done so that I could create the GTR lightning bolt. So this is kind of a sloppy version to show you up close, but it's basically just a standard LED strip and then it's been cut. Now these are just like kind of leftover scraps from when the coating fell off. We're never gonna use this on anything, but you get the idea that this is connected to 2 wires, that's connected to 2 wires, and this section is, and in total it's a 24-inch strip, but I'm able to modify them and then make them come together. And we do a good job when we install them to make sure that the lightning bolt looks nice and consistent, but it's all being powered just by the regular 24-inch driver. And so when you look at it on the light, let me actually dial this down so it's not so overwhelming, but I'll show you what it actually looks like, because on camera you can cheat and you can always make things look better than they look to the eye. Now notice how that doesn't go all the way to the end. There's no way to bend these LED strips and get them to do exactly what you want. But you can see it kind of comes to a bit of an angle, so you can see it going straight right up in here and then hooking that way. And then it's the same deal here. You've got this, it's kind of a, it's not a curve because you can't curve the LED strip, but it does come together and meet at the end. It looks really, really good, and of course it will do switchback. Now if you can see next to it, we've got another thing that comes all the way to the end. That's actually the replacement for cutting strips and modifying things from scratch. This is now the brand new lightning bolt drop-in board from Yunique LED. So that's an LED strip that's going to fall into this range of stuff, which we'll talk about later, and that is drop-in LED boards versus something like this, where it's just kind of a generic universal part that I've modified to fit my needs. Hope that wasn't too boring. So again, if you look, you can actually see that that 24-inch strip does not quite cover the length that it needs to. So there's the OEM LED, and we've put a module on that to make it turn off during the turn signal. But then you have this little gap right here, and it is lit up, but it's not as bright as the LED strip. Same thing if you follow it all the way down to the bottom, you've got where it cannot hook down right there. But there is a factory LED right in this little section right here. So you've got 2 different things happening. You've got the internal tubes that actually light up from LEDs at each end, and then you've got the extra strip that we've laid on there. And again, if you look at what that started off as, that would be this guy, and that is the profile pivot strip. And we cut it and modify it, and then we got the end result right here. So here's where things get interesting. I'm trying to make this LED strip video for you guys, but as I'm making these videos that they don't pay me or anything, like I make very, very, very little money from YouTube ever, but that's just right now. This is all for the long game. But I have to pack these things up and get them shipped off to the post office. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna come back, and without that GTR light in the way, I'm gonna go over all the other strips with you. So bear with me, I'll be right back. All right, so we are going to actually get up close and personal and compare all these different LED strips and kind of show you what I was talking about before. And the big change that you'll see is just in the brightness and the quality and the color change for our RGB stuff. So we've got the profile Prism, and then we've got kind of a generic RGB strip just to show you side-by-side color comparison, as well as the other parts that'll do switchback. I'll show you what those look like really up close, and I'll dial the camera settings in so that you can see them the way that they actually look to these eyeballs, all right? So first off, I know that we're looking at a bunch of little dots there, but if you look really close, you can see it's actually just a strip that I've laid all the way through the back. And I have other footage that I'll lay on top of this right now so that you can see the actual strip when I was showing it off before. But look at the color difference between these things. So you're gonna have that individual little dotted look on pretty much any standard RGB strip. There's different casings that they'll do. Some will have a back, the background instead of being white, it'll be black. Other ones will just have more LEDs, less LEDs. Every setup is slightly different. This though is a solid continuous strip, which means that anywhere that it passes through those circular openings on the back side, it produces an even amount of light, as opposed to trying to line up one of those little LEDs behind each of those circles. It's definitely challenging to do it, and it just happens that these are way friggin' brighter. So as far as the color changing stuff with strips, I think you can't really, you can't even look at this stuff anymore because it's just been outdated. It's been, you know, it's been replaced basically. So the white, everything else you'll notice will be much bluer on this, kind of a purpley color, and on this it's a nice pure white. So two totally different ways of doing things, but that's just always got the higher quality. And we got our XK Chrome app that I'm just manually going through, so I'll actually pan through a couple different modes. All right, so that is our RGB strip. Generally, like, that's just gonna look cheesy if you put it in some kind of like a bumper or anything and you aim it down, you'll see those dots. So they'll spread out a little bit better, but I mean, at the end of the day, even glow, dots, I'll take even glow for sure. And here's actually dots versus even glow in a different setup. This is just a ton of high quality LEDs that really look even, and you can tell the brightness is pretty hardcore. This right here is old school. This is, as far as I know, just about as bright as anything gets. And these are what we've been using. These look very similar. So let me call out what we have. We have crazy expensive Yunique LED custom drop-in circuit board. We have a very cheap tube LED thing that's just whack. I hate them. We've got the old school, quite bright actually, LEDs. That's actually from a company called Radiantz. Super bright, pretty expensive, not that good anymore. This is the Diode Dynamics HD switchback strip. And then we have the profile pivot, formerly XSB from Morimoto, now called profile pivot. And that's it. Now we've got some drop-in boards over here that I'll show after this in their own video. But that's basically what an LED strip is when it is made for a specific shape. So it just drops in. All right, so one little thing that I can do with these, I'm actually not gonna do it on this one because that's, believe it or not, that's a fully sequential white and sequential amber GTR lightning bolt. We just have all the whites turned on right now. But I will turn on the switchback function of this guy. And if you look at it, it looks really good right now while it's on. It looks terrible while it's off, and it's not very bright. It's actually quite a cheap part. You can kind of see, let me set the the camera up like I was saying I was going to. So you can kind of see those individual little LEDs in there. And they just, I mean, this is much truer to, let's see if I can dial this in. That's about what I'm seeing with my eyeballs right now. So definitely not the best. It's really hard to kind of capture the way every different strip looks. Right now, these actually look pretty bright. I mean, they look to be just about as bright as anything else, but you can really tell now when you start comparing them to these dotted type. The dotted type just don't look nearly as good. And now with this, it is a drop-in circuit board and it has a diffuser from the factory that's laid on top of it right now. And so if it didn't have that, it wouldn't have nearly the high quality look that it does. But I'll tell you this, that's not even doing it justice. With my eyes, it's looking more like that, definitely. So that's the new bolt, and now these things should be blazing even brighter. Yeah, look good. But ultimately, this is one strip. This is one that's been cut, and so that's 9-inch section, 6-inch section, 9-inch section, and together they make the lightning bolt like I showed you guys earlier. They'll also do switchback, and that same technology is packed into this guy right here for the 370Z, and it's also switchback. And so it just actually has its own unique shape, and it's packed full of LEDs, and it's kind of ugly, but if you put it under the right reflector, it should look pretty good. Alright, so first up for the switchback, we are going to do this tube, and you kind of get the idea. It just changes. But I mean, really when it's up close, gosh, it's so weird how the camera setting on this particular part, it's so inaccurate. So that's what I'm seeing with my eyes. Totally. Now this little guy does not do switchback, so he's not going to be in the running, but these ones do, and they look super bright. That's pretty much where I see them with my eyes right now. And these have a slightly cooler color, the pivot do. The HD from Diode Dynamics is a slightly more like 5000K, not quite as, not blue, I don't want to say blue, it just gives the wrong idea, but this is more like a 5500/6000K. That's more of a 5000K. OEM stuff is always going to be 5000K, so if that helps you base decisions, let's see what they do with switchback. Alright, this should give a decent idea of how they look when they go switchback. So let me start by doing the first ones. And then we'll do the Diode Dynamics one. And this is going to be a much different color. That is crazy bright. Insane bright. So the other thing too is that the Diode Dynamics has a dim setting. So notice how it just went dimmer. So if you turn on your low beams at night and you want that to be a little bit less hardcore on oncoming traffic eyes, you can do that, or you can just rock full out no matter what. But definitely a big difference in the output. The Diode Dynamics is clearly the brightest when it comes to the super crazy switchback stuff. Alright, now here's the fun part. This is where you actually get to see what these things really actually have on them. So if you look, we've got all these little mounting tabs on the Diode Dynamics part. The back side, you can see where it's got exposed circuit board there. That does need to be covered up, because if it touches anything, then it's going to send power and ground to the same location in the case of like it being mounted to a chrome part. So you got to be careful. But if you look at that coating, it's really nice and shiny. It covers up the parts. I showed you what the angel eye ring from Diode looks like. So you've got two different types of LEDs in all of these parts, and there's just one after the next. So one's white, one's amber, one's white, one's amber. So that's how they're set up. And then the profile pivot, these ones are actually set up. You can see them right here because this is an old dead strip of mine. As you see, it's a bicolor LED, so each LED does white and it does amber. And this is an older version of their coating. Their newer coating is just a little bit more durable. Basically it looks the same. I'll show you what the coating on the rings look like from the Profile Prism series that we just got in. So, in order to be as accurate as I can be, this is what the coating looks like on the profile parts now. It's just been updated. This is just an older part, same brightness, same LEDs. They just have a slightly different thing. And I should probably cut my fingernails. Anyway, so this is what was in that GTR light earlier, and you could see the brightness of that thing flashing. This is the fun part. Now I get to show you the junk. I hate this stuff because it's just really kind of comes apart easy. There you go. I mean, it's not the worst. It's really not. There's some side emitters that are really, really bad. This at least has two individual LEDs side by side, white and amber. The yellowish looking one is, or orange looking one is the amber color, and then the straight like pale yellow is white. So it's just a bunch of those. You can see the spacing. There's LEDs spaced that close together throughout the whole tube, and they're just aiming upward. And that's, yeah, it's just definitely not gonna be super pleasing to the eye to have this big tube. Now I've seen people do this a lot, so I don't get it, but having this big tube, like look at that thing. It's a big old monster. Having that thing wrapped around a different part of your light just doesn't really make sense to me. It seems like it would look very forced. You can't make big tight bends, so like, I don't know. I'm not sold on these. My advice would be don't get this. Get something that's made for your car, or spend the extra time, get a little extra custom, maybe cut the strips and void your warranty and be a bad boy. I don't know. Some parts look like you're trying so hard just to have an LED strip that it might look a lot better if you just didn't have an LED strip. You know what I'm saying? And that brings me to these parts, which I'm going to demo next time. But that'll actually show you something where if we want that boomerang to be able to change colors, or we want it to be switchback or something like that, we should not use this big stupid strip. We should use a drop-in part. This is also from Yunique LED. And so that's a part that's been made. You can see where the little hole is right in the middle there. That literally just screws into place. You don't even have to be good. I say that all the time. You don't have to be good to build really great custom lights if you use the right parts. Same thing with this. If you have the clear reflectors to make it pretty, that will do amazing things. So I'll turn that on next time. And this is one of my absolute favorites, of course. It is the Modified Technologies. It's a Sequential Si Bar, so each LED does white and amber. He's got super cool spacing, and the animations, the brightness, everything's on point. And this was actually a big influence to how we built the GTR bolt, which I'll show you right now. So this is the one I've been working on for a long time. It literally fires me. It takes my skill and patience, I guess, and dumbness, and it wraps it all up into a beautiful package so you don't have to be smart or dumb or whatever I am. And you get a better finished product than I can make by hand. And this is basically what happens when the trial and error of doing something manually for a really long time turns into a more automated system. And I'm excited to see what happens to this with these new depot lights for the GTR. It's going to put it in the hands of a lot of people, and we'll finally be able to offer a kit where you can make the sequential GTR headlights yourself for your customers, or if you're in another country and you don't want to deal with crazy international shipping, this will be the answer for you. And we're going to do it in a couple different flavors, including color changing that'll do sequential color changing, chasing, and we'll do just regular plug and play switchback, and also just your run-of-the-mill tried and true ghost powered sequential lightning bolt. So this is what it looks like. So we took the idea with the bicolor LEDs that we love so much on Modified Technologies, and we did a double row in the middle, a big long single row, and it can go all the way to the very top like you saw earlier when it was on, and then it actually hooks all the way down. just the cost of doing a big giant circuit board like that is crazy. It's a totally different way than like these little guys, these cute little Modified Technologies parts that are freaking beautiful, and they're small, so it makes it much more affordable and all that. These things right here cost me a ton of money. I'm not used to spending that much on parts, but it definitely makes it better for the finished product. So these drop-in parts, I mean, they're the game changer. I 100% believe that in 2018, the drop-in circuit board parts are going to become a whole new way that people start businesses, and they're able to get them to pop up and start, you know, producing something so good that to compete with them, it's like guerrilla warfare. You know, you wouldn't sit there and try to go after each one of these individual little guys, because collectively they'll just take you down, you know? So if you're a company, you shouldn't be focusing on outdoing these little guys. You should be doing other more scalable projects, because they're so good at what they're doing right now. It's just a game changer. I mean, there's pick and place machines where a little robot will grab the LED, stick it where it belongs, grab another one, stick it where it belongs. Like, I can't make stuff like that. I'm not even trying. I'm trying to promote all of these guys individually. So I've reached out to a few different companies that for whatever reason are just like, oh yeah, we don't want to work with other people right now. And they don't want me to help brand their company and, you know, get their name out there and all that. But I know working with a company like Depot, and actually having Depot headlights where we're able to open them up and just drop in a part that does fully sequential GTR stuff, or the things that we can do with the Si Bar for the WRX, the part that I showed you first, like, man, I mean, you look like a master, and all you've done is buy a set of Depot lights, a set of the Si Bars from Modified Technologies, and you know, we're gonna have all that stuff on FlyRyde.com and just keep adding to it more and more and more. So the game's changing big time. I'm trying to be on the right side of the change, and instead of me fighting it, I'm pushing it. You know, I really want to see things happen. So you business owners, you better reach out. Like, I swear, I just want FlyRyde to have all the best, latest and greatest stuff, and I want everybody watching to get to see us install those parts, and we'll do the big deep dive trainings. And for the stuff that's just way out there, that's where the online courses come in. So I think I can end this video with that. That was LED strips. We're gonna do more on the drop-in parts later. So definitely let me know if you want to see more of these in-depth videos showing you the products. I know it's kind of geeky, but it's good to know, and you can actually see the comparison of part to part with a dude just talking to you. Like, I'm talking to you. You know, I want you to learn from all the crazy stuff that I'm doing here in the workshop, because it's my job to be testing these things, working with the companies, being on the phone with them, breaking them. I mean, I'm breaking the rules. I'm cutting things that I'm not supposed to and figuring out how to make them work in new ways. And that's so that if I know it works, I could just tell you, you don't have to take that risk. So I'm gonna stop yapping. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you want to continue watching, you should subscribe. You really should. Hit that like button, and I will see you guys on the next one.